Dan has traveled all over the world crusading on behalf of the sportsmen, women, and children. This and all other programs produced by Dan are intended to be both entertaining and educational. It is not our intention to offend anyone. However, we must advise this program does contain explicit scenes. Dan Fitzgerald's Family Outdoor Entertainment, spanning the globe in order to bring sportsmen, women, and children the most entertaining and educational programs available today.
This is the part I hate when I gotta leave my family.
Marlboro country. The land without limits. Sunrise to sunset, summer to spring. Adventure rolls through Marlboro country. We built a train around the adventure we call Unlimited, the Marlboro Unlimited. 20 state-of-the-art rail cars designed, built, and outfitted exclusively for Marlboro smokers. A third of a mile of sleek red steel, ready to take on the West. "2,000 winners, 2,000 guests, on board and off the Marlboro Unlimited for 5 days and nights of non-stop adventure." Built the gear like we built the train, as rugged as the country it's named for, as dependable as the people it's made for. "30 new items of gear without limits. Just get the miles and get the gear." Marlboro Unlimited. The train, the trip, the gear. Get on board. Surgeon General's warning. Smoking by pregnant women may result in fetal injury, premature birth, and low birth weight.
we look at the air power of the mighty Soviet Union, we have to throw away many preconceived ideas. First, the Soviet Union is not Russia, though that individual republic is the biggest part of it, just as England is the biggest part of the United Kingdom. For example, A.I. Mikoyan, who gave his name to the design bureau which produced these aircraft, was a native of another Soviet republic, Armenia. Second, there is not one, but many Soviet air forces. They include autonomous air armies, the frontal or tactical aviation, military transport aviation, all part of the main air force, the VVS. There is also naval aviation and the vast PVO, the Air Defense Forces, which comprises interception regiments and many thousands of surface-to-air missiles, more than the rest of the world combined. Maybe that is to be expected, because the Soviet Union is the world's biggest country. Right from its birth, the Soviet Union has felt itself surrounded by enemies. Indeed, from 1918, there was civil war, and the Western Allies, who had fought alongside the troops of the Tsar, tried to help the White Russian armies defeat the Reds, or the Bolsheviks. They failed, but this left the new USSR with the belief that the allies of old Russia were the enemies of the Soviet Union. Indeed, Lenin proclaimed that the capitalist countries would forever try to destroy this pioneer communist state. It is a belief that has been taught in Soviet schools ever since, and is emphasized by the fact that the state has always maintained huge armed forces. By the 1930s, the Soviet Union was eager to show the achievements of nationwide centralized planning. It wanted to think big, and it was proud of the ANT-20 Maxim Gorky, largest aircraft in the world, which was the flagship of a propaganda squadron, and often flew escorted by I-5 fighters to show its huge size. But the rise of Nazi Germany in the 1930s threatened the fledgling Soviet state, and the Red Army, already weakened by terrible internal divisions and purges, which had removed many of its key officers, was not ready to repel an invasion. On the 22nd of June, 1941, Hitler unleashed 5 million troops in 190 divisions against the USSR. The resulting conflict saw vast tracts of the Soviet Union ravaged and under fascist control. This was known by the Soviets as the Great Patriotic War. The Luftwaffe was ordered to destroy the cities. To defend their motherland, thousands of young men and women from all over the Soviet Union joined the Air Defense Group, which included barrage balloons, anti-aircraft guns, and fighters. The battle for control of the air over the cities was long and hard. The most numerous fighters were the Yaks, of which over 37,000 were built, more than any other type of fighter in history, despite the fact that in September and October 1941, to avoid being bombed, the entire production had to be moved far to the east, often to places where there were no railways and only dirt roads. But there was never a shortage, either of fighters or of pilots, and no fewer than 93 members of the Air Defense Group were invested as heroes of the Soviet Union, an honor never bestowed lightly. These BF-110s, BF-109s, and FW-190s were among the more than 7,300 fascist aircraft confirmed as destroyed by the Air Defense Group, whose equipment was swelled by large numbers of American Air Cobras and British Hurricanes. The tide began to turn in favor of the Soviet Union. A lasting bond of friendship was formed with France, whose pilots formed a special unit, the Normandie Niemen Regiment. With a score of 237 confirmed victories, it was by far the top-scoring French unit of World War II, and, symbolically, one of its members will remain on the strength of today's all-Soviet unit forever. Many thousands of families in the Soviet Union have seen fathers, sons, and even grandsons serve in the defense of the motherland. In the Great Patriotic War, David Yachuk flew no fewer than 820 combat missions. mostly in SB-2 bombers. Not many details have filtered through to the outside world about the massive Soviet bomber campaign, using SB-2s, IL-4s, Tu-2s, and other types, which put down more bombs on the fascist heartlands than the combined weight of the RAF and US Army Air Forces. No air force in the world has a greater sense of history than that of the VVS, the Central Air Force of the Soviet Union. Virtually every cadet visits the Air Force's museum at Monino to see the actual Lavochkins, Yaks, and MiGs that drove off the invaders. After graduating from high school, thousands of cadets each year start along the long road that leads to being a Soviet combat pilot. Right at the start, remotely piloted model airplanes are used to instill a feeling for air combat and a sense of how to achieve a dominant tactical position. This is something ignored in the West. These youngsters plan to go on to a military air school where they will be instructed and monitored by political officers. Western Air Force aircrew know nothing of instruction along the lines of patriotism and political dogma, but in the Soviet Union, it is all important. Also important is the use of gliders. Here at the Vinnytsia Aero Club in the Ukraine, Czech-built Blanik tandem seat training gliders are used as the first step in the flying training course. This young man is the third generation of his family to look ahead to a career in the Soviet Air Force. Most pilots do training on gliders at their nearest aero club. Many then go on to a very demanding aerobatic training on such agile aircraft as the Su-26 or Yak-55 and the Yak-53, here practicing in formation. Probably the best aerobatic trainers in the world. With such practical flight training behind them, the cadets feel ready to face the tough course at an Air Force Flight Academy. Here they are cut down to size and reminded that every mission starts from the ground and must be properly planned, and the political training is intensified. Before they ever get into a cockpit, they further polish their skills in repeated sessions on electronic simulators. Experienced frontline commanders and political workers pass on their knowledge to the cadets during every waking hour. After weeks of training, at last comes the thrill of the first flight. The standard jet trainers are built in Czechoslovakia, the L-29 Delphin, seen here, and the L-39 Albatross. Both are tough, all-metal aircraft, much more advanced than anything the cadet has seen before. From his front cockpit, he can see all that happens. But on the first flight, he is little more than a passenger. No mask need be worn, and he comes along for the ride as the experienced backseat instructors demonstrate a complete mission. Included is flying in loose formation. Over the coming months, each cadet becomes not just able to fly, but totally at home under the most demanding circumstances. At last comes the great day of graduation, when all the fortunate cadets pass out as fully qualified Soviet pilots, ready for posting to a combat training unit. First comes a combat training regiment, of the kind known in the West as a Combat Crew Training Wing, or Operational Conversion Unit. Here, the eager fledglings make the acquaintance of the MiG-21. This tailed Delta Wing fighter serves with more air forces than any other airplane. Those used for training are unpainted, but in every other respect, they have the full capabilities of those in combat units. After honing their flying skills and familiarizing themselves with the partial pressure flying suit and helmet, the course continues. Each pilot is already practiced in formation flying, but now he has a lot more power and performance, right up to Mach 2. Each mission flown provides extra knowledge and experience in the handling of fast jet fighters and fosters good cooperation. Eventually, at the end of the course, the successful pilots are ready for their first assignment to an operational unit of the gigantic force called frontal aviation, where most aircraft are painted in various low visibility colors. This MiG-21 Gate Guardian commemorates a Soviet pilot who rammed his aircraft into an intruding plane. Beyond the gate is a frontal aviation base in the giant region of Siberia in the Far East. One of its officers is Anatoly Yuchuk, younger son of wartime bomber pilot David. Anatoly Yuchuk's regiment is equipped with the MiG-21 BIS, many thousands of which have been built for the Soviet frontal air forces. Carrying on where his father left off, Anatoly teaches his pilots how to navigate and how to win in air combat. Frequent flights are made with pairs of aircraft, usually carrying UV-1657 unguided rocket pods. Pilots are instructed on how to attack ground targets with unguided rockets, and also with the twin 23mm internal cannon. In the air combat role, the MiG-21s often fire the K-13A missile, which homes by sensing the infrared emissions from the target's tailpipe. The CO from the Far Eastern republics gives a lesson in interception tactics and the absolute need to be master of one's aircraft. Using a model of the swing-wing MiG-23, he explains the next task set his pupils. They will climb to 5,000 meters and fly at 600 kilometers per hour before, on command, performing a half roll followed by a half loop back to level flight. Whenever possible, pupils walk through the entire mission on a plot marked out on the airfield, each student representing the relative position of his aircraft. Then, the big hangar doors are opened, and pupils and instructors taxi out in their MiG-23U trainers. Each capable of over Mach 2, the MiG-23U is one of the most common combat trainers of Soviet frontal aviation. They take off in pairs down a runway whose size matches the vastness of the country. Climbing for altitude, pupils and instructors know that on this mission, they need not wear oxygen masks. They are going to practice the interception of hostile aircraft at medium altitude. Nothing very demanding, but to the inexperienced pilot, the sheer power and complexity of the aircraft poses a real challenge. Now, in the far west of the Soviet Union, more than 5,000 miles away from his younger brother, we find a frontline regiment of frontal aviation commanded by Viktor Yachuk. Armed with the UV-1657 and UV-3257 rocket launcher, their aircraft is another version of the MiG-23, the 23MF. The aircraft's GSH-23L twin-barrel cannon are serviced and armed before each mission. In the locker room, the pilots dress for action. Today, their ordnance will include the simple K-13A air-to-air missile with an infrared homing head. As usual, Viktor Yachuk will lead the aircraft detailed for this practice mission. Between them, the aircraft will carry several hundreds of the 57mm rockets, which can be fired in any kind of weather, day or night. Fuel is always important, and the tower quickly gives clearance for successive takeoffs, using full afterburner. More aircraft of this type are serving in frontline regiments than any other combat aircraft in the world. The CO and his wingman head for the designated combat zone in aircraft 46 and 55. Each is able to reach Mach 1.2 at sea level, a speed not exceeded by any other aircraft in service anywhere. Some NATO critics have suggested that the MiG cannot maneuver very well. They have likened it to a juggernaut truck or a supertanker. It should be remembered, however, that the Soviet Union does not have a reputation for mass-producing anything that does not do its job. To suggest otherwise is simply to fly in the face of history. Even at low level, these frontline pilots always wear oxygen masks. Arriving over the target, Yachuk and his men roll over into dive attacks and, taking careful aim, ripple away their salvos of supersonic rockets. Frontal aviation probably gets through more rockets in a year than the rest of the world's air forces combined. Some of the aircraft are carrying bombs and others cluster dispensers. Guided by radars, the MiGs head for home. Half an hour later, the landing gears extend and they land in a stream, braked by their drag chutes. Every Soviet airbase, even in frontal aviation, is on the grand scale. Runways are seldom less than 3 kilometers long, or 10,000 feet. But air defense is strictly the task of the PVO, an enormous specialist organization and not part of the VVS. Nodding height finder radars stand guard 24 hours a day, every day of the year. All round the endless frontier of the Soviet Union, tens of thousands of radars of 18 types keep watch for hostile aircraft or missiles. Among them are the biggest and most powerful radars in the world. Small surveillance and target tracking radars are used in great numbers by the PVO-ZR, Zenith rockets or surface-to-air missile troops. All PVO forces in each area are controlled from hardened command centers where all sensors and defensive forces are coordinated. Every day, hundreds of target engagement and tracking radars are put on alert. The troops respond instantly. For all they know, it is not an exercise but a real attack. Launch crews dash down into hardened bunkers to prepare and control launch facilities for the world's most common surface-to-air missile, the V-750 series, over 100,000 of which were built years ago. Many of these large but aging weapons are at readiness on fixed sites.
Передатчик. Есть распаданности. Есть распуглу. Есть цель. Цель одиночная, без помех. Приближается. Цель противник. Внимание, цель уничтожить. Есть распаданности. Есть СРП по углу. Внимание. Первое. Пуск.
Several thousand of V-750s are brought up on trucks as reloads. Often they travel a long way through rough territory, and the exercise serves to polish every man's performance and cut precious seconds off the time to get into action. Each week, several thousand new men, almost all of them doing their conscript period of service, are trained in the complex duties of manning PVO-ZR missile sites. Always, the newcomers are helped so that each unit's performance will stay on the top line. Sometimes, by day or night, missiles are actually fired. There is no shortage, but each shot is aimed at an actual remotely piloted target. Every launch crew hears the story of the American Francis Gary Powers, who on the 1st of May 1960 flew right across the southern republics of the Soviet Union before being engaged and shot down by a V-750 battery near the city of Sverdlovsk. This was one exercise that was very much for real, and the performance was 100%. The troops are constantly reminded that they are charged with defending their native land. To do it, as the book says, with dignity and honor, they can call on more than 10,000 air defense radars and many more SAM missiles than there are in the rest of the world. Except for the giant space and anti-missile systems, every SAM missile and its sensing and aiming systems is fully mobile, and most can even swim rivers and keep up with the fastest Army vehicles. Unlike the NATO nations, the Soviet Union has a specialized military air transport force, the VTA. One of its chief types is the tremendously capable Ilyushin 76 MD. Powered by 4 D30 KP1 turbofan engines, each fitted with a thrust reverser, the IL-76 can operate from short, rough airstrips with a full payload of 48 metric tons, or 53 short tons. Anyone who flies the 76 feels he can truck anything, anywhere, at any time. And the VTA trains its crews to feel like this. A recently qualified pilot makes his first trip on the flight deck of a 76 belonging to a VTA unit, which has received many state awards for its proficiency. His first indoctrination flight is quite short, and under control from the tower, the 76MD returns to its runway and briefly uses reverse thrust. There are many of these aircraft at the base, and now it is time for a combined arms exercise. Various loads go aboard, including ASU-85 assault guns and BMD light armored carriers. At the tail of each aircraft are multiple 23mm cannon to provide radar-directed firepower against any hostile fighters. The crews of the big Ilyushins are kept on the top line. Some aircraft have on board 125 highly trained parachute troops. Others have armored vehicles, artillery, and other heavy loads, all tasked to capture and hold objectives on the ground. If they can make a landing, then they can evacuate sick and wounded.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome God's one and only voice of comedy, Mike Warnke.
I know that when I walked out here, there are a number of you who have never seen me before. Some of you husbands are now elbowing your wives saying, "I thought you said this was a Christian thing." Praise God. If I'd known this was going to be a hippie deal, I wouldn't have come down here. You know, I don't like them hippie deals, Martha, and you told me this is going to be a Christian deal. You didn't say nothing about this being no hippie deal. If I'd have thought this was going to be a hippie deal, I'd have stayed home and watched wrestling. Praise God. You told me this is going to be a Christian thing, and I can tell you right now, that boy up there on stage, he is not a Christian because he's got that long hair. And everybody knows that Christians don't wear their hair long on account of the Lord likes his little sheep shorn real tight. You know what I'm saying? That's okay, Elmer. You leave Ethel alone. I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. I'm a Christian not because I wear long hair, and not because of the way I talk, and not because of the version of the Bible that I carry, or the denomination I belong to, or the kind of car that I drive, or whether I got a pink shirt on, or a blue shirt on, or a yellow shirt on, or I got hair this long, or this long. I'm not even a Christian because I got these holes in my earlobes. The Lord hung on a cross and shed his blood to wash my sins away, and that's why I'm a Christian, amen? And when the Lord decided to save me, he didn't need your permission. You know that? And when the Lord decided to call me, he called me so that I could use my talents for him. Now, I don't sing. I don't play the piano. I don't dance. I am not a great orator. I am not a pulpit preacher. There is only one talent I have. I am weird. I have been weird all my life. I will be weird until I die. I tried 3 or 4 times to straighten up, but if there's anything weirder than a weird person being weird, it's a weird person trying to be straight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, close your eyes and imagine me in a light green leisure suit with white shoes. That'll kill you right there. Try and imagine this face under one of them crew cuts so short you got a bald spot right there that you don't even deserve, okay? Think about it, man. I know I'm a weird person. And I know that a lot of you think I'm weird just because you judge on the exteriors, and that's okay. A lot of people judge on the exteriors. Some of you think I'm weird simply because I've got long hair, but honey, I got a spiritual reason for this hair. But of course, as a Christian, I got to have a spiritual reason for everything, because Christians not allowed to just do nothing, you know. Because people to be challenge you 6 away from something. You get up in the morning and say, I need a cheese sandwich. Somebody say, you show me the word cheese sandwich in the Word of God. How do you know that the Lord's leading you to eat a cheese sandwich? Did you have a revelation? Did you have a dream? Were you speaking in tongues and the words cheese sandwich came out, or what? Was there a testimony to this? Was there a prophecy for this? How do you know you're being led of the Holy Ghost to eat that cheese sandwich? Yes, I mean, we can't even get up in the morning and want to eat a hamburger, you know? You can't get up and say, boy, I could sure pig out today. Yeah, buddy, I could sure deal with a couple of hamburgers. Maybe more than a couple of hamburgers. Maybe a couple dozen hamburgers. Maybe a truckload of hamburgers. I need some grease in my life, man. I got zits that need nourishment, you know? If I'm going to nurture this crop of eruptions, I need some grease in my life. Praise God. Boy, I'll tell you, I could swim through a load of them today. People would go, gluttony, he's in sin. Cast the demon of secret sauce out of that boy, you know? Name yourself, foul spirit. Wendy. And Hardy's in here, too. Won't cause you no trouble at all to throw us up, you know what I mean? So to avoid that kind of confrontation, what you need to do is you get up in the morning and you say, as I lay sleeping, an angel of the Lord appeared unto me and said, yea, take thyself from thy recumbent and horizontal position into the world of men, and there high unto the land of the golden arches. And once thou hast arrived, purchase unto thyself 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles on a sesame seed bun. Yea! And be ye filled in my name, you know. Listen, not only will people go with you, you get a testimony. Ah, it's Jesus. Hallelujah. Let's go. I'll admit to being weird. I'll admit to being weird. But I was wondering, did ever any of you normal people wonder what a weird person thinks is weird? I mean, if I'm it for you, what's it for me? If you come to me for yours, where do I go for mine? If I'm the bottom line where you're concerned, what's the bottom line where I'm concerned? Sir, you're sitting down there, you're a well-dressed individual with a great big white flower right on your lapel. I want you to know that you look like a normal, fine individual to me, and I want to know, did you ever wonder what somebody like me thinks is weird? Did you ever wonder that? Well, I'm going to tell you. I think it's weird when you're sitting in church and 3 pews behind you, somebody goes, I always think to myself, what are they going to do with that now? Oh, you see one of them scratch their ear, you know? That ain't too weird, but when they look at their finger, man, that is weird. And why do they always want to show that to you? Look. No, I don't want to look. Praise God. Or somebody take out their handkerchief and blow their nose. Then they look at that. What kind of wisdom are they trying to find in there? It must be pretty good, because then they fold it up and keep it, man. Yeah, I think I'll hang on to that till Jesus comes, you know? I don't even believe I say some of this stuff. You know what? But I tell you, man, weird people worry about things that normal people don't worry about, too, you know? Like, for example, why do people drive on parkways and park on driveways? Huh? What is daylight savings time? And if we're saving so much of it, who's got it all? How do you know when yogurt's gone bad? How do you get Teflon to stick to a skillet when nothing sticks to Teflon? How hard would it be to nail Jell-O to a wall? Inquiring minds want to know, you know? It's like flying, for example. People think that's a normal thing to do, to go out to the airport and go out to the airport. Go out to the airport. Go out to the airport, get on an airplane, and go somewhere. Do you realize what you're doing? You're getting in a hollow metal tube with wings on it under the command of a complete stranger. You're letting this guy take you to 35,000 feet and travel in excess of 400 miles an hour. That's like saying, strap me to this bullet and send me home. It's a dangerous and weird thing to do. I travel 385,000 air miles a year. I got so many frequent flyer points, I got an upgrade on the space shuttle, you know what I'm saying? And they say things on the airplane that's supposed to make you feel better, like, fasten your seatbelt in case we have an accident. Well, I know if we're falling out of the sky from 35,000 feet at a 70-degree angle heading straight for the ground, and I know we're not gonna miss, it's gonna make me feel a lot better to know that I got my seatbelt on. Hey, nothing to worry about. I'm strapped into this wreckage. I'm just sitting there sipping my Coke. The guy next to me's going crazy. Aren't you afraid? Why, no, man. I have my seatbelt on. And have you ever heard this one? Well, the cabin has been pressurized for your comfort. In the unlikely event that we should lose cabin pressure, a compartment directly above your head will open and an oxygen mask will fall from the ceiling. If this should occur, please extinguish your smoking material, reach up and grasp a mask, pull it to the full extent of the plastic tubing, which will start the individual oxygen flow. Then place the gold cup over your nose and mouth, adjust the elastic band to fit your head, and breathe normally. Fat chance. You've fallen out of the sky from 35,000 feet. You're at a 70-degree angle. You're headed straight for terra firma. Now some mercy comes into the situation. The air gets sucked out of the airplane, and you got a chance to pass out before you hit the ground. But the airline wants you to get everything you paid for. So they save your life. This little panel opens up, this little mask falls down, but because you're at a 70-degree angle, it doesn't fall straight down in front of you, it falls out here somewhere. And you can't reach it because you got your seatbelt on. It's weird, see? I mean, even the American family can be a pretty weird gig when you look at it just right. Dad comes home completely unsuspecting to that one bastion of tranquility and calm in an otherwise hectic day. That castle, that harbor safe from the storm of life, that bastion of love, caring, and understanding. To his loving progeny and his darling spouse. He walks in the door tired from a day of sweat and toil. He puts his hat on the closet shelf and hangs his coat on the wire hanger. He closes the door, puts his paper down on the hall table, walks into the living room, and the first thing to greet his eyes is a demon-possessed woman. You must do something with your children. You must do something with your children. Dad says, oh my, they must have really messed up. They just became my children. Because up until then, they've been the direct result of the gene pool of Mom's family. Now they're messed up their dad's kids, and he's got to do something with them. And under this kind of pressure, he does what dads do from time to time. He overreacts. He runs down the hallway. He kicks open the bedroom door. The little girl is in the middle of the bed with the sheet pulled over her head, hugging onto her teddy bear. Little boy's in the toy box looking out through the slats. Two kids too big to hide are standing in the middle of the room going, fake him to the right. No, no, fake him to the left. I'll tell you what, I'll jump on him. The rest of you head for the window. I'll sacrifice myself. Go for freedom. Yeah, you know. And Dad says something like, that's it. I've had it with you people. You go lay down in the driveway. I'll be out there in a minute. I'm going to tie your feet to the bumper of the truck, and I'm going to drag you around the block. And just to make sure you learn your lesson, I'm going to get that guy next door to tailgate some. And the kids are walking out there. And Dad's supervising the activity. And they're laying down and they look like cordwood. Mom walks out. Dad puts his arm around Mom's shoulder and says, how am I doing, sweetheart? And she looks at him and says, I wish you weren't so severe with the kid. Then she goes down, gets him up out of the driveway, puts her arms around him, takes him in the house and gives him milk and Oreo cookies. And as they walk by you, still standing on the porch with your face hanging out, they do one of these. And she's done it again. She's the fairy godmother. You're the wicked witch of the north. I tell you, Mom's an interesting individual. Mom's a very classy individual. She's a very logical person that uses questions to raise us all our lives. Mom says things to us like, do you want me to slap your face off? Oh, yes, ma'am. I've always wanted someone to slap my face off. I could keep it in a box under the bed then. I mean, think what a hit I'd be at show and tell. This is me, you know. You want me to knock you into the middle of next week? Well, who will recognize me? I'll be over there with no face. And has your mother ever gotten right down and you kiss her and said, do you hear me? Don't you look at her and go, what? And the one question to end all questions, what do you think you're doing? Well, it doesn't matter what I think I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to get in trouble for what I'm doing or what I think I'm doing. I'm going to get in trouble for what you think I'm doing. So the question that we need to deal with here is not what do I think I'm doing, what do you think I'm doing? I need this information if I'm going to come up with a decent lie. And you young people, bring some of this upon yourselves, okay? No offense meant in any way, shape, or form, but some of you young people have got to understand the truth of the situation. Some of you never will, because you not only lie to everybody else, you lie to yourselves. And that's okay. It goes with the territory. We understand. But you see, between the ages of 13 and 20, for those 7 years, you're not even allowed to talk to your parents. You can talk to your friends' parents. You can talk to your counselor at school. You can talk to your friends. You can talk to people we don't know on the phone for hours and hours. But you can't talk to us. I mean, the Teenage Union of the United States of America has forbidden its members to communicate with their parents. There are only 3 legitimate terms that members in good standing of the Teenage Union of the United States can use in the presence of their parents. There are only 3 approved sayings. There are only 3. These sayings are, number 1, nowhere. Number 2, I don't know. And number 3, nothing. That's all you're allowed to say. And nowhere is only good for one question. Where are you going? Nowhere. Well, who's going with you? I don't know. Well, what are you going to do when you get there? Nothing. Then why don't you stay in your room till you're 30? Or go lay down in the driveway and I'll be out there in a minute. I mean, you see how frustrating it can be? I mean, think about it. And then the I don't know part. You don't even have to enunciate the I don't know part. You've got sign language for that. We ask you a question. We tell you the answer. Oh, yeah. 7 years of this ought to give you all severe brain damage. You ought to look like Neanderthals. You ought to have foreheads back to here and shoulders over your ears. 7 years. What are you going to do after high school? College. What are you going to major in? PE. Walk into a room. There sits a kid. Hey, you got any homework? I don't know. Well, who do I ask to find out? I don't know. Well, you're sitting in front of the television. What's on that? I don't know. Have you seen your mother? She's in the kitchen. Oh, yeah. And walk into a room where you got 5 kids. 4 of them will each have the legs of a cat, stretching the animal out tight till this thing looks like a fur-bearing trampoline. The 5th one will be up there going. What are you doing? Nothing. This cat was torn in half when we came in here. I mean, don't you kids know where liars go? They go to Washington. And a family like the one I've been talking about, you can even wind up with weird pets. This lady sitting over here going, Lady sitting next to her is going. It's okay, praise God. Get used to me. If you don't, your first 1,000 years in heaven's going to be miserable. Anyway. We had this old dog, see? And it died and went to be with Jesus. You have a laugh, it wasn't your dog. You're probably laughing because you don't believe in doggy heaven. And I'd just like to say, as your faith is, so be it unto you, but I know where my dog went because my dog was into Jesus, man. I mean, she was. It was a female dog. She was into Jesus. She was. I'd say to her, baby, healed, and she'd go, wow! Wow! You know, I mean, she was into it, man. She'd be out in the backyard praying for little cats. Wow! Little cats were saying, ah! I think I just broke a cameraman's neck. Ooh, yeah. But that dog got old. She got old, man. Her teeth fell out. Her eyes got bad. Yeah, her hearing got bad. She got arthritis in all 4 legs. And she just lay on the porch all day long. And somebody'd come to the gate and she'd go, stranger. Well, at least I think it's a stranger. I can't tell too good, you know. Why don't you run up there and grab him and drag him down here, and if we don't know him, I'll gum him one for you, okay? Imagine being bitten by a dog with no teeth. I mean, a regular dog run up and say, yeah, you know. Old dogs say, no, 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 no. It doesn't hurt, but it sure take the crease out of your slacks, I'll tell you that. And barking doesn't help, because a dog barking with no teeth doesn't make a scary noise. Woof. Would that scare you? Woof, woof. You're at my house and steal my personal belongings. You got one leg through the bedroom window. You hear woof. Does that make you want to run away? No! It makes you want to check your shoes, you know. That dog died, passed away, and went to be with Jesus. And because we're not the kind of family that can do without a dog, I had to go get us another one. So went and got a little bitty puppy. It was a little bitty white puppy, and it had a black spot on its back. And it had a curly tail, floppy ears, and brown eyes, and a wet nose, and furry feet, and a fat tummy that made him wobble when he walked. It was just a little puppy that now weighs 168 pounds. You know? And his whole attitude toward life is, hey, you want to play or what? You know? And it doesn't matter if you don't want to play, because they drag you out in the yard and make you play. It's a very affectionate animal, see, with a tongue this long. I come home from a trip, I missed you. And I walk in the house and Rose goes, is it raining? And I think the only thing that the dog likes to play with more than me or his ball is his cat. This cat named Henry likes to pick him up by the head and go, then he spits him out. He goes, boy, Henry, you're a lot of fun to play with. You're more fun than that ball because you walked back over here. I have to tell you, this kind of treatment has changed the cat's life, okay? Because the cat used to be cool, you know, he'd walk around the house, meow, 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 and now he walks around the house. It's a lot of fun to run up behind him and go, woo! And he hits that ceiling fan, throws him through a window every time.
Moving between dances or songs, and drink plenty of water. Drink more frequent small amounts rather than 1 or 2 large gulps. Keep your body aligned, balanced, and under control when working out. This means keeping your knees over your heels and pointed in the same direction as your toes. You should be able to stop at any time and not fall over. Keep your center of gravity low and centered between your feet. You should control all your movements, especially when lowering your legs. It is during the lowering motion that additional work is done. The toughest thing about a really good workout is keeping your abs tight. These torso muscles support the spine and are at the center of body alignment. Keep the head and back in a neutral position. Your knees and elbows should be soft and slightly flexed, never locked. As silly as it may sound, remember to keep breathing throughout your workout. Ideally, exhale on the effort and the inhale will follow naturally. I know this sounds like a lot to think about while you're line dancing for fitness, but it will soon be second nature. The most important thing is that you work out regularly, about 3 or 4 times a week. I hope this video is easy and fun enough to encourage you to do just that. Plus, you'll learn 6 new country line dances. So let's get started. Today, you'll be line dancing with Rocky, Jamie, Steve, and Mary. We've put instruction on Channel 1 and music only on Channel 2. Once you know the routines, you may wish to listen to the music only. You may want to reset the counter on your video player to 0 right now. That way, when you hit rewind, it will stop right here at the beginning. Here's a specific warm-up where you'll practice the individual steps you'll use in the aerobics segment of this tape. Let's go. Vine, 3 steps and touch. Do that again. 3 steps and touch. Now let's slide 3 times and touch. Keep it light. Again, 3 slides and touch. Moving back this time, 3 steps and touch. Moving forward, same thing. And back, 3 and touch. Now stay there and practice the step touch. Breathe. Stand tall. Now change it to a step and a scuff. On a scuff, you brush your heel against the floor. Now we take 3 steps and knee lift. So it's the vine with the knee this time. Good, now just the knees. Stand tall. Abdominals are tight, supporting the spine. Exhale on those lifts. Now lift behind and lock. Make sure you're controlling the motion of the leg. Again, the abdominals are tight, supporting the spine. Let's do the other side. Rocking. Standing leg is a little bent. Breathe. Come together. Heels go out and in. Make sure you're turning up in the hips and the knee is always over the toe. This is called a pigeon. Heel step each leg. Flex the foot. Let's do both toes. Out and in. These are fans. Breathe. Now step and lift a knee over 2 steps. And we'll be moving forward. Again, stand tall. Keep the shoulders down and relax. Moving back, lift and step. Take your time. Now moving forward, lift the leg and stamp and stomp twice. Lift and stomp. Each leg practices the move. This is a scoot. Now heel toe, just touching. Standing leg is slightly bent. Balance, stand tall. Good, let's do the other side. Heel toe touches. Breathe. Check that standing leg, it's slightly bent. Looking good. Do the same thing, but this time, heel touch and then cross in front of the other leg. That's called an arrow. Good. Other side. Heel, toe, touch, and cross in front of the leg. This is an arrow. Feet together. Turn and swivel both heels the same way. Turn way up in the torso. Keep the shoulders lined up. Let's do step 3 and scuff. Do that again. Step 3 and scuff. Here it is. Let's shimmy, straddle, squat it together. Shoulders alternately press forward and back. Good. One leg, step forward, step back. Make sure the front heel is down and has the weight. And switch the other side. Get the front heel down. That'll help protect your knee. Good. Let's try turning 4 steps. Pivot 180. And then walk and step 4 times. Again, pivot. This time we're only going to step 3 times. Other side, pivot. Step 4 times. Again, 180-degree pivot twice and 3 steps. Now, just pivot, step, stomp, clap. Pivot, step, stomp, clap. Do the other side. Now, some gentle stretching. Take a heel, press it down against the floor and stretch gently in the calf. Bring it in closer. Both knees are going to be bent. Heels are weighted. And then tilt forward to stretch the front of the hip. Breathe. Good. Stepping to the side. Weight the heel. Support with the hands. Support with the abdominals. Breathe. That's a little inner thigh stretch. Bring it back together. Bend one leg. Press into that leg. And push back and stretch the hamstring. Come on together. Let's do a little warm up for the shoulders. Breathe. This stretches your chest and your back. Other way, just let the arms hang. Oh, feels good. Good, another big breath, lift up. Support with those abdominals, keep the knees soft. Grasp with the palm and gently pull. Other side. Grasp. Again, we're using the palms, saving the fingers. Fingers are small joints. Use a large joint whenever you have a choice. Good. Come on behind. Clasp hands. Lift. And release. Now we have the other side. Other leg goes back. Roll the heel down. Stretch through the calf. Breathe. Should be a comfortable stretch. And bring it back in. Halfway. Bend both. Sit on the heels. Take the front of that hip and squeeze it forward and stretch out the front of the hip. And the side. Weight the heel. Support it with hands. Tight abdominals. Supporting the back. And back together. For the final hamstring stretch, bend the leg, press into it. Press back with the hips and stretch the hamstring. Take neutral with the head and back. And release. Come up and breathe. And bring it down. And we just step right and left. And step it out. And we're ready to start the aerobic section. Now that you've practiced the individual steps, warmed up a little, and done a little gentle stretching, we're ready to start the aerobic section. Make sure you start gradually and increase the intensity as we continue to dance the electric slide. We'll be turning around so you'll be able to follow our feet as we dance through the electric slide. We'll repeat the dance 4 times through before we add the turn. Let's go. Ready, slide, 3 times right and touch. Bring it back left and touch. Back 3 steps and touch. Step touch, forward and back, and then kick it. Here we go again. 3 slides and touch. 3 steps and touch. Step touch, forward and back, step kick. 3 slides and touch. 3 steps and touch. There's that turn. And kick. Breathe. Hopefully the dance is becoming automatic. If you want to add the torso, make sure the abdominals are tight to support the spine.
He raps, he acts, he wins awards for his work in recording, television, movies, and kissing. He's been the Fresh Prince from Philly to Bel Air and has saved the world from attacking space aliens and space folks living among us, and has even been considered an enemy of the state. But who is this fresh and funny talent who seems to have it all and has done it all, rising to the top of the Hollywood heap with style, grace, and an ever-mindful eye to clean living and clean fun? The epitome of the classic American success story. Spend a little time with us, and you'll find out the answers to all this and more as we present From Philly's Finest to Hollywood's Star, the Will Smith story. Our soon-to-be Fresh Prince was born on September 25th, 1968.
He grew up in West Philadelphia, which is a residential area. It's African-American, middle class, and it's row house.
I've always enjoyed him as a performer, and you know, it's good to see that he acknowledges Philadelphia as his roots and where he grew up.
He grew up in the West Philly and Overbrook sections of the city. I think back during the time when he came up, it was probably a better environment than it is now, because I think almost every neighborhood in every city has gotten slightly worse. I mean, the place he grew up in was a very predominantly black, middle-class place. I mean, anyone who's black knows places like this in whatever city they're from.
His mother and father divorced, although civilly, when I think he was about 13, and Will is friendly still with his father, and of course with his mother. His mother raised him after the family divorce.
As a child, Will's mother says he was lively and gregarious. In fact, so much so he was able to talk before he could walk. His father was very caring and had a strong influence on Will's life. A retired member of the United States Air Force and strict disciplinarian, Will claims his father had so much control over him growing up he never had the opportunity to do anything wrong. Says Will, he did his shaping up by taking little chunks out of your behind. As a child, Will claims his favorite author was Dr. Seuss because he says the book was written in hip-hop rhythm.
Hip-hop is basically a culture that has been developed around the lives and aesthetic forms of expression of young African Americans. It's now a worldwide culture. It's now a culture that's not exclusively African American, but at its beginnings, African Americans and Latinos and West Indians in the New York area began rap music, graffiti, dancing, break dancing, and other forms of expression, certain styles of fashion that people wore, and all of that has continued. Right now, hip-hop culture is centered around rap music, but it has branched into so many other areas.
As a child, Will claims he didn't want to be a fireman or a policeman. He wanted to go up in the space shuttle. In other words, he had dreams and goals, as he says during this interview before riding a float in the annual Tournament of Roses parade.
First, I'd like to say thank you. It makes me feel good that, the American Spirit Foundation felt that, I was a good role model and things like that. What I want to say to the youth of America is what I want to represent, as I ride down, waving and everything. I want to let them know that I represent the youth and I represent success in America. I stand for someone that had a dream, looked forward to their dreams, worked hard, and was positive and came out on top.
Will's grandmother was very influential during his life. In fact, Will's first theatrical experiences were in little plays his grandmother wrote and produced for the church, in which all the kids in the family performed regularly. We'll hear more about Will's grandmother later on.
Will had his brush with parochial school, went to a Catholic junior high school, and it was a very disciplined program. And then he got into a predominantly black high school, Overbrook High, and he started to really feel his sense of becoming an entertainer and an entrepreneur and entertaining his classmates and eventually turning that into what would eventually become Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
He was kind of like, a pioneer to rap, and since he's from Philadelphia, I kind of like hang out around where he used to live and all. To see somebody that was from like my same environment, kind of go out there and make it, it kind of gives you hope, you know what I'm saying?
It's interesting that Will Smith was referred to as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he arrived in Hollywood, because really at Overbrook High School in West Philly, he was more like Prince Charming. I mean, this was a guy that was the class clown up to a point. He was careful enough to walk right up to that line where his teachers would laugh at him without getting upset with him. So he was as much a local cheerleader and a person that could bring everybody together, and very much a young businessman, even in his teenage years.
Will started listening to rap records in the summer of the 7th grade. The first rap album he purchased was Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. His rep as a rapper started to grow after he continually beat other rappers in street challenges. He soon learned how to scratch records, and his parents took him to church functions and parties, where he served as the DJ and performed raps whenever he had the chance.
Will Smith's parents were hardly absentee parents. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. During the 80s, there was somewhat of a trend to have both parents working, and certainly Will's parents worked, but they were very involved in Will throughout his high school years.
Jeff Towns had attained the rep of Best Rap DJ in Philly, and he'd heard about Will's rep as a rapper and DJ, but Jeff already had a partner. This was all going to change thanks to a chance meeting at a party and a goofy sense of humor.
Fascinating story about how Will Smith and Jeff Towns got together. They were both invited to a party in Philadelphia during their teenage years, and Jeff brought in some joke attack gas in a can, this party gas that put off this offensive smell. And Will Smith got such a kick out of this that they knew that they were going to be friends for life and partners in business because of this joke gas can.
They enjoyed each other's company, they started hanging out together, and then they started working together, and they became huge stars together.
He was called the Fresh Prince because that's what they called him when he was a kid in school. Fresh is a term basically in hip-hop. It meant, new, wonderful, on top of things, hip. Even that's passé now. Prince because he was very charming. That's where Fresh Prince comes from. I think one of his teachers gave him that name. the Prince name anyway, and he tacked Fresh onto it as a hip-hop moniker.
He had scratched out some lyrics on a pad, including what you would expect, you know, the usual filthy, antisocial stuff. And his grandmother saw that. And she went over to the pad, she started crossing these words out, saying, I never want to hear you use, you can't use that word, you can't use that word, you can't use that word.
Keep it clean, because my grandmother wouldn't have it no other way. When I first started writing rhymes in probably 80 is when I really first started to sit down and write rhymes, and I was writing raps in my book, and I had my 4-letter words in there, you know, I was writing all my stuff, and my grandmother found my rap book, and she wrote a letter in the back of my rap book. She said, Dear Willard, that's my grandmother called me Willard. She said, Dear Willard, truly intelligent people do not have to use words like this to express themselves. Show the world that you're as smart as we think they are. So, and you know, I decided, okay, all right, Grandma, you're right.
Ultimately, it was a moral judgment on Will's part. He wanted to entertain. He liked having Grandmama's iron fist behind his decision, but he did it out of respect, not out of avoiding a whooping.
Will Smith's grandmother gave him the key to stardom, because had he decided to be like everybody else and do the filth and do the horror and do the antisocial stuff, he'd just be part of the crowd.
I really respect him. I recently got into like rap a little bit more about 3 years ago, and at first I was turned off about it by like the lyrics and some of the lewd comments and stuff, but Will Smith really changed my aspect, like how I feel about it, and I really love, I can't go like an entire day without listening to like dancing and grooving along.
I think there's a certain honesty that comes through in Will Smith's comedy that is cross-cultural. Blacks can certainly relate to his inner city tales, and yet he's well accepted and plays into the fact of being in Bel Air suited him just fine. One of the secrets to Will Smith's success in terms of comedy is his honesty and sense of humor is cross-cultural in a sense. Whites get it, blacks get it, everybody has a good time.
As a teen, the raps of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were clean, yet amusing and entertaining. A completely new and unique rap style.
It's very interesting. Jeff was kind of in the background, but Jeff was very important to the music. Will came in with Jeff's help. He wrote the tunes. He went out there with that personality of his, and he sold everything. It's a very symbiotic, very nice collaboration between the two.
Their first effort together, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble, came from their personal journals and rap books. Dana Goodman of Word Up Records offered them a one-shot recording deal, and they grabbed it. The record went top 20 in Great Britain and sold over 100,000 copies. The following summer, the boys toured England with Def Jam Records and were shocked and amazed by the throngs of screaming girls who met them at the airports and followed them wherever they went.
It's his personality that sold the record. He's very excitable, he's very likable. He seemed to be the kind of guy you like to hang out with.
Their first album, Rock the House, was for Jive Records and was a further foray into tongue-in-cheek rap music. It included the song Just One of Those Days, set to a sample of Irving Berlin's Puttin' on the Ritz. Don't Even Try, Diss Their Detractors, and Special Announcement was a cut in which they thanked everyone who helped them along the way. It became a big hit. Believe it or not, during this meteoric rise to fame and fortune, Will was still only a senior in high school.
Will had a difficult decision to make in his senior year at Overbrook High. He had the opportunity to go to MIT on a scholarship. His father was an engineer. This seemed like a natural path for him to follow. But he decided that his heart was in entertainment and that he belonged in the entertainment field.
Will and his dad made a deal. Try show business for a year. If it worked, fine. If not, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT never had a chance. In 1988, they released a 2-record vinyl set, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. It contained their biggest hits to date, Nightmare on My Street, a rap tribute to Freddy Krueger, and The Rocket, Parents Just Don't Understand.
Will Smith was the rapper that both kids and parents liked because he poked fun at that generational gap that happens between parents and kids and made parents feel comfortable with the idea of their kids listening to what in some eyes was a strange new form of music that was coming from the streets, which in some cases could seem threatening, but because he put a humorous take on it and said, hey, you know, parents just don't understand, he was able to make it work for the parents and the kids.
Parents becomes a monster hit on R&B charts and in the mainstream as well. MTV put it in heavy rotation and it sold like hotcakes, even with the humorous theme.
Parents don't just understand. I remember seeing that on MTV. It was in heavy rotation, and it was funny. It was done with humor, and it dealt with something universal, the fact that kids and parents, when a kid is a teenager, the parents just don't understand. That's what he was addressing in that, and I think that is probably the thing that made him a star, because it crossed over from just black playlists to white. I mean, MTV back then wasn't known for playing a lot of black artists, played virtually none. He got on MTV, he attracted a white audience in addition to the black audience he had, and that basically put him on the rocket.
At a time when gangster rap was just beginning to emerge, it didn't even have a name yet, Will Smith decided to take a decidedly different tact and use humor and yet still get a message across. And it was Will's grandmother that, in a sense, used an iron fist to say, you will not do this kind of gangster rap and talk about drugs and killing.
Other rap groups, frankly, scare the hell out of white people. And some of them scare the hell out of everybody because some of them are vicious. What made Will so unusual was that his rap was friendly, accessible, understandable to both black people and white people.
His music is great. He doesn't sing all that gangster rap, I think it's great.
There can be good rap in any genre. It's like the difference between Walt Disney and Stephen King. You know, they both present different types of cinematic experiences. Well, it's the same thing with rap. I mean, Will Smith was never a quote-unquote gangster rapper. He was never a quote-unquote political rapper. He was just a young kid that liked to party, and that's what came out in his music.
In January of 1989 at the American Music Awards, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper won Best Artist and Best Album honors. A month later, in February of the same year, Parents Just Don't Understand won a Grammy Award for a new category, Best Rap Single. Will was on the roller coaster of fame and fortune headed for the top. He was a millionaire by the time he was 18, and he began a life of non-stop partying.
He's done some stupid things in his life, but he's rebounded, he's done very well. And stupid things, I don't mean anything illegal or anything, just stuff that stupid young kids do.
Will managed to blow $800,000 in 1 year. And then to add insult to injury, the IRS nailed him for millions in back taxes. By 1990, the party was over.
Here's a guy that was a millionaire at the age of 18 and also had the IRS knocking on his door to pay some back tax bills at the point when the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air TV series came along, and just in time.
In Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will played, if you will, a kid from the ghetto who was placed in the home of a wealthy African American who lived in Bel-Air. The irony of this is that this show is actually based on a real life story. Benny Medina, who was a man from, not South Central, but this area in Los Angeles, was taken into the home of Jack and Bobby Elliott. Jack is a very well-known songwriter and a lyricist, and they decided, because they're real liberals, they said, look, we want to put our money where our mouth is. Let's put this kid in our home, send him to the best schools in Beverly Hills, and see what happens. And what happened was Benny Medina emerged from this. He blossomed, became a music executive at Warner Brothers, and the show was based on his career. And Will sort of slipped right into this.
Well, like everything else in Hollywood, it's a question of connections. Will was was a guest on the Arsenio Hall show, met somebody on the Arsenio Hall show who pitched the idea to him, and they took that to Quincy Jones, who took it to NBC, where Brandon Tartikoff, then the president of NBC Entertainment, thought it'd be a good idea. Brandon has a lot of good ideas, and he's willing to try different things.
NBC, under the guidance of Brandon Tartikoff, likes the idea, but decides to change the adopting family to a black family and market the show for black audiences. Television critics thought Tartikoff might have lost his mind with the bold gamble of giving the lead of a new show to an untried rapper. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air debuts in the fall of 1990.
In fact, he was hired to do The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air without anyone asking him if he could act or if he ever had acted. He hadn't, but he could, and he did.
So here you have Will Smith arriving in Hollywood, never having acted formally before, and he felt he was going to be a quick study, and as we saw, he was. The show took off. But he once related to me a story that in the first couple of episodes, he had such a tough time learning his lines that he had to learn everybody's lines. So when he was in scenes, if you look at the two shots, the cover shots, where both the actors in the scene are together, you not only see Will delivering his lines, but ever so slightly you see him mouthing the lines of the other actor. And this was a situation that cleared up after the first couple of episodes.
The thing about Will Smith is that so much of it is natural. Oh, there's no question the guy works at it and is professional and works hard at what he does. That's all well and good, but there's something innate. There's something inside him that projects a certain attitude, a certain quality that just makes him so likable and so watchable. And there's nothing you can do if you don't have that quality, and if you do, you're really lucky. And if you're Will Smith, you develop that even further.
I followed The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I probably saw every episode twice.
Mostly it was just a fun show. It was Will Smith making fun of the eccentricities of the wealthy. And that was the heart of the humor.
The show is a big hit. Quincy Jones is quoted as saying, "Will Smith is a monster talent." A Big Eastern Daily reports, "Mr. Smith not only can sing, write, and dance, he clearly can act, too." And a television critic says, Will Smith's enjoyment of the role is infectious.
There's a certain combination of qualities about Will Smith. He's friendly, he's your friend, he's a friend you want to have. He's energetic, he's funny. He's just the kind of person you'd love to pal around with. He's non-threatening. If you're a woman, he's a guy's guy. If you're a guy, he just has that kind of universal appeal that just makes him perfect.
I think deep down he is a nice guy. I think deep down he is a friendly person, and that projects.
With his success on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will is relieved to be out of debt and IRS trouble. He lives a quiet life. Around this time, he begins working with Jazzy Jeff on their fourth album, Home Base. Released in 1991, one of the cuts is called Summertime, and they decide to release it as a video. Summertime wins Jazzy Jeff and Will their second Grammy Award, and a short time later, Will breaks into film.
It's ironic that Will Smith's first foray into feature films was Where the Day Takes You, a gritty drama that was not an easily taken to subject on the part of the general film-going public. I mean, it dealt with drugs and street prostitution, heady stuff for a first film. He did well in it.
Where the Day Takes You was a low-budget story of runaway kids in Los Angeles, with a now famous cast including Dermot Mulroney, Ricky Lake, Kyle MacLachlan, Alyssa Milano, Laura San Giacomo, and Christian Slater. Will played Manny, a legless street kid. It was his first dramatic role and taught him more than he wanted to know about life on the street.
One of his next projects was Made in America. It starred Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson. He was still taking the sidekick roles, things that he felt comfortable sinking his teeth in, didn't want to bite off more than he could chew. And this is how he slowly but surely built his feature film career.
Made in America was directed by Richard Benjamin, and along with Whoopi and Ted, co-starred Nia Long. Will played Nia's friend and schoolmate T. Cake Walters. The film was a huge box office success, grossing over $100 million. Also in 1993, Code Red, the fifth and final album Will made with Jazzy Jeff, was released, and more importantly, Will was cast in the film version of the Broadway play 6 Degrees of Separation.
6 Degrees of Separation was the litmus test for Will Smith's acting career. He studied for over 18 weeks. He really got into this part, and it was the part that really made other movie directors stand up and take notice as Will Smith as a serious feature actor for the future.
6 Degrees starred Hollywood film heavyweights Donald Sutherland and Stockard Channing.
Those roles like 6 Degrees come along really rarely. You know, so it's like really trying to find the work that
Not all exercises are suitable for everyone, and this or any other exercise program may result in injury. To reduce the risk of injury in your case, consult your doctor before you begin this exercise program. The advice and instructions presented are in no way intended to replace medical counseling. The creators, producers, participants, and distributors of this program disclaim any liabilities or loss in connection with the exercise or advice herein.
We recommend that you watch this program once before actually taking the test. That way you'll be more relaxed and your scores more accurate.
When you complete this fitness test, you'll know exactly how you stand physically and what you need to work on. Now, to participate in this test requires very little equipment. You'll need a scale, a tape measure, and a step 8 inches high. Now, to pass the test, you're going to have a t-shirt with your name on it and a large cube with a picture of one of my other videos. This 4-minute step test will let you know how you stand aerobically or how you step aerobically. Now, the first phase of the test will be 3 minutes of stepping to a cadence that will be established both visually by Tina and I and by the music. And then you'll have 30 seconds of rest and recovery and then 30 seconds of pulse testing. But we'll lead you right through that. Right now, Tina's going to demonstrate the stepping action, which is up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. Now, Tina will start us with the music, 3 minutes of stepping.
Ready, and...
There are a lot of ways to build your cardiovascular fitness. Tina's an avid bicyclist. I do some bicycling and outdoor skating, as well as the martial arts. But as your cardiovascular fitness improves, your perceived effort to do this test or any other chore reduces. And therefore, when you get done with the test or the effort, your recovery time is very rapid and your exertion is very mild. And that's what we're testing here.
Find Bob Mann's Instant Karate video is certainly one way of increasing your cardiovascular fitness. However, if you use it, you'll be in even better shape.
Tina, with all these cross plugs I do with the various videos, the more I produce, the more I'm going to sell. Shop your defense budget with Instant Karate.
Now prepare yourself to find your pulse after we stop stepping.
Okay, now we're in a recovery period. During this time, find your pulse on the side of your neck. There's an artery there, and it's going to be pumping away. And in just a few seconds, I'll say start. And then you're going to count your pulse for 30 seconds until I say stop. Ready, start. Ready, stop. As you find your proper age bracket and your pulse category on the chart, what you'll see, of course, is that the slower your pulse at the end of the exercise period, the higher your rating. And that ties in with what I said earlier. Less effort, better condition, and therefore a lower pulse rate at the end of the exertion. We heavy-duty bodybuilders call the stomach muscles the abs. And we're going to test yours now with a 1-minute sit-up test. Tina's going to show how this is done. I'm going to do them. But do as many as you can for a minute. If your abs are in great shape, your back is probably in great shape. So get that stomach and toned up.
Okay, Bob, please lie back. Bend your knees up here. Now, make sure that your feet are secured either by someone else or underneath a piece of furniture. And also make sure that your heel is about 12 to 18 inches from your rear. Okay, Bob, now please cross your arms over your chest. And there we go. Tilt your head forward a little bit so that the chin touches the chest. And now lift up, lightly touch your arms on your thighs, go back down. Do not let your shoulders touch the ground. Now that is one completion of one sit-up. So Bob, are we all set?
Yep.
We're going to do as many as we can in 1 minute, and if you have to take a pause in the middle, go on ahead, but we're going to go for it. Okay, ready and go.
5 seconds.
Stop it. All right. Good job.
You too can lean and be mean. But right now we're going to find out just how lean are you. We're going to do a body fat composition test. And for women, that starts shoes off, and the measurer should have shoes off too, with a hip measurement. Come on, don't cheat. Go around the widest part here. In Tina's case, 34.5 inches. And a height measurement. "67 inches. Ladies, take a straight edge up to the video chart. Connect your hip girth with the bottom chart, your height in inches, and where the straight edge crosses in the middle will show you your percentage of body fat.
The men's test is slightly different. First of all, we need to get a waist measurement. So I'm going to take this tape measure, and I hope I have enough of it, around Bob's, and we go across the belly button here. We come up with 32 inches. Okay, Bob, please step on the scale. Shoes off. We're going to take your weight. $166. Now find your body weight on the top line, connect it to the waist girth measurement on the bottom line, and where it falls in the middle will be your approximate percentage body fat.
Of them if we can. Now, I can't do a minute of continuous push-ups, and perhaps you won't be able to either, but that's all right. Do as many as you can, rest and recover, and then continue on till you've used the full minute, and then take your total count. Now, Tina is going to demonstrate the correct starting position for push-ups. Notice that her thumbs are beside her shoulders, fingers forward. Now, the woman's version of the push-up is from the knee. So Tina, do 1 repetition of the woman's version. Men's version, of course, is the full body push-up. Now join us now for a minute of push-ups.
Get ready and go. Keep on pumping. You've got almost 30 seconds to go right now. Ten more seconds. 5. And stop.
The best way you can build up your pushing strength is do some pushing. Not only some push-ups, but some pushing away from the dinner table. Eat your heavy meals early in the day, make that evening meal light, and your physical fitness will improve rapidly, especially if combined with a good all-around exercise program.
we're going to take you on a healthy walk, but you never leave your living room. Hi everybody, I'm Leslie. We're back with more walk aerobics. Now this version is especially for seniors. To prepare for the workout today, all you need is a good pair of fitness shoes. A walking shoe or an aerobic shoe is going to give you the support and the comfort that you need for an indoor fitness walking program. Now you know for any aerobic program you need to monitor your pulse. We're going to be taking a resting pulse, an active pulse, and a recovery pulse in this workout. The active pulse, in the middle of the class, we will be showing you a chart so that you know for your age group how hard you need to be working so that you get the benefits from aerobics. You know, like strengthening heart and lungs, improving your health, and encouraging weight loss. Now, later on in the workout, I'll talk to you more about that. First, I do want to show you the steps we are going to be using in the class. There's only 4 basic steps we use for walk aerobics. First is marching. All you do is march in place. Just pick your foot up just like a simple walk. Then we go into kicks. Just bring the leg up and kick straight out. Next, we do knee lifts. All you do is pull the knee straight up, as high as you can lift it. Pull it straight up. Okay, and the last step is side steps. You step out to the side and bring the other foot in. Step out to the side and the other foot meets it. Step out to the side. They're very simple. Those 4 steps are going to get you through our program today. Okay, we first have to take a resting pulse together before we go into the warm-up. Now everyone, find your pulse at your neck or at your wrist, whatever convenient or comfortable for you. I'm going to tell you when to count. When I say count, count the number of beats. When I say stop, just remember that number. Ready? Count. Stop. Now multiply that number by 10. Now that's your resting pulse for this time of the day. Okay, everybody, let's get into the warm-up. Are you ready? How's everybody? Yeah. Okay, warm-up coming up. We need some music. And now everybody, all you do, let's start with marches. Now, you know, everybody knows it's so important to have a warm-up before you actually get into the program you're going to do. The warm-up will just warm the body, warm the muscles, and prepare you for a more intense workout later. Good. Okay, we're marching, guys. This is the easy part. And 7, and 8. Go 8, and 7, and 6, and 5, 4, and 3, and 2. Okay, everybody kick right here. Just kick that leg out. Good. It's the right foot, then the left foot, and it's right. We start out nice and slow and gradually increase the pace. Good job, guys. Right and left. Now, I've got to tell you, I am so excited today because we are here live at the Club Fitness Center. This is where I call home. So this is exciting for me to be teaching right here in my fitness center. And I've got a great group with me today. How's everybody? Hey, they're good. Okay, well, I'm going to make you meet some of these guys later on. They're terrific. And kick, and kick. 2 more. All right, everybody go back to marching. March, 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 march. It's right, left. This is just the warm-up, everybody. Just relax and take it easy. 8, and 7, and 6, and 5. Good. 4, and 3, and 2. Let's do knee lifts now. Pull the knee straight up, straight up. Right leg, then left leg, right leg. It doesn't matter what leg you're on. We're not here to teach you steps. We're here to keep you moving. Good. It's right and left and right and left and right. Let's do 8 more, and 8, and 7, and 6, and 5. Good. And 4, 3, 2. Okay, march, everybody. Now back to marching. Good. Nice and easy. The warm-ups are always nice and easy. 7, and 8. We've got to prepare your body to go into a more intense workout. And 5, 6. Okay, now the hardest step we have is side steps. We're going to go into some side steps in a second, everybody. Did you already do that? Did my group go into side steps without me? That's all right. 8, and 7, and 6, and 5, 4, and 3. Okay, now everybody, right foot starts. Let's go out to the side. Out together, out together, out together. Very good. That's it. That's it. We're getting those legs ready to take on a brisker walking pace. Go out together, out together. Later on, we are going to be using arm movements. That'll really get the heart rate elevated. 8, and 7, and 6, and 5, 4, and 3, and 2. Let's do 8 more. Don't pay attention to that singing that I do. And 4, and 3, and 2. Everybody march now. And right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left.
Someone sent me this bill. I don't know why, but she said I talked about money. I probably said money isn't necessary to make you happy, but it's right up there with oxygen, you know. And money does delay depression, let's face it. Money isn't everything, but it sure keeps the kids in touch. I'm really not in good enough shape to get in shape right now. I saw this sign on a car lately. It says, "I am fat and you are ugly." You gotta wait for the line. But I can go on a diet. You girls are so wonderful. You laugh before the punchline. Money talks, but all mine says is goodbye. I've got enough money to last me the rest of my life unless I buy something. When God measures a person, a tape is put around the heart instead of the head. The heart is like a treasure chest that's filled with souvenirs. It's where we keep the memories we gather through the years. This is a little prayer that I want to share with you. May those who love us, and those who don't, may God turn their hearts. And if he doesn't turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so that we may know them by their limping. If you love something, set it free. If it doesn't come back, then hunt it down and kill it. Of all the things I lost, it's my mind I miss the most. See, my memory is excellent. There are only 3 things I can't remember. I can't remember faces, can't remember names, and now I've forgotten the 3rd thing. Wrinkles are God's way of saying, I'm stepping on your face. I've got a friend that's only 50 years old, but she tells people she's 60 because she looks great for 60 and awful for 50. This is a little better than the other one. God
Computers can help us with so many things, either for business or at home. And these days, one of the great capabilities of many computers is that you can go online. That is, you can get connected to the internet. Learning how to use the internet can be a challenge, but it can be a lot of fun. There is a lot to learn, and if you're not familiar with computers, it can seem daunting. But this video, Computers Made Easy, will show you how to use the internet step by step and make it easy for you. The internet can provide you with so much. You can buy just about anything, you can find out information about any topic, you can have your say when you join special interest groups, and you can get the latest information about topics you're interested in, all through your computer. To enable you to review and understand how to use the internet, we've divided this program into easily accessible segments, like the chapters in a book, so you can go back and replay any of them as often and whenever you like. The first part covers the basic operations and background to the internet. Even if you know some of these basics, it's important to go back to make sure you fully understand the full potential of using the internet. Knowing how and why the internet was developed, what it is, what's on it, and how it works is important information to help you get the most out of using the internet on your computer. To get yourself connected to the internet requires a certain level of hardware. In this segment, we show you the types of computer hardware and software you will need, what to consider when you choose a service provider, and once that's done, how you connect and disconnect from the internet. The more you use the internet, you will discover how easy it is to effectively access the tremendous amount of information and services that are available. In this part of the video, we will show you how to send and receive email and how to get connected to news groups that may interest you. The World Wide Web is an exciting part of the internet that is growing at a tremendous rate. This segment will show you what you need to do to effectively access the World Wide Web and use its many services. Watching this video, Computers Made Easy, Discovering the Internet, will give you the level of knowledge and understanding of the internet you will need to use this incredible system with confidence. To gain the most from this video, you will need a personal computer that is linked to the internet through a service provider. It's also important that the computer, the mouse, the modem, and the software program are operating correctly. You will be using both the mouse and the keyboard to operate the computer during the course. If you haven't used a computer keyboard before, don't worry, because you will learn the skills you need as we work through the video. With the correct equipment and software in place, you are now ready to commence the first segment of our video tutorial, Accessing the Internet. The origins of the internet we can all access today began as a United States Defense Department project in the 1960s to ensure that computer information could be transmitted even in the event of a nuclear war. By the early 1990s, this system was opened up to allow everyone access, even people at home. Today, the internet is a computer network that joins together many millions of smaller networks around the world. To enable computers on the internet to communicate, they must be able to easily locate each other and have a common language. When data is sent over the internet, it goes in what is called the Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, or TCP/IP. For computers to be able to find each other on the internet, they have to have an address.
Hi, I'm Rod Wentler.
And I'm Mark Horowitz. There are probably as many ways to build a garden railway as there are garden railroaders. We've built this Northern California line using techniques that would be good anywhere in the country, even in places that have harsh winters.
And at this site, the soil is very difficult to work with. It's a hard clay, and the weather during the summertime here is very unpredictable. One day we were working in hot sunlight, and the next day we were working in freezing cold fog. Pretty difficult work, wasn't it?
It was hard work, you bet. Do you remember what this site looked like, though, just a short while ago?
Boy, I'll tell you, we've come a long way. Well, Mark, this is our blank canvas ready for us to paint on it.
Well, it's looking good. When we first contemplated this site for a garden railway, it was completely overgrown with brambles and weeds and blackberries. So the first thing we had to do was clear the site all the way down to the ground, which, as you can see, we've done. The next thing we have to do is make a site map where we plot the changes in elevation and any obstacles that we might have to work around. So, Rod, I think I'll go get the tools for that.
Okay, Mark. You know, when we cleared this area, we had several things to look at in terms of our railroad. Now, one of them was drainage of water. During the winter, we get rain, and during the summer, our tree has fog drips, so we had to figure where the low and high spots will be in terms of draining the railway. And then another thing to consider, of course, when you're building a garden railway is the garden aspect, the sun. This is an area back here where during the afternoon we get a lot of shade, and certain areas will keep their sun for most of the day. So we really have to look at where we put what kind of plants in the garden. And then the third thing that we considered as we cleared it was, well, where are people going to sit? Because this is an area a little ways away from our house, so we've just built this patio so that we'll have an area for people to enjoy the railway.
These are the tools that we'll need to do our site plan. We have some plain wooden stakes, a hammer to pound them in with, a big tape measure, a nice spool of twine, a piece of fabric to make some little flags with, and a clipboard with some graph paper to record our measurements on. The only other tool we're going to need is a water level. It's a wonderful tool that's simply made out of simple materials. It's basically just a couple of old yardsticks and a long piece of plastic tubing. We put water in ours with a little red food dye. You don't really need to put food dye in yours because the water by itself is quite easy to see. I've got a couple of corks in the tops of mine. To use them, you take out the stoppers and you leave one yardstick at one point in the yard and you move the other one around and read the levels off of it. Here's how it works. I'll take a 1-inch block and put it underneath one of the yardsticks. Have to wait a minute for the water to settle. Okay, now on this yardstick we have a reading of 12 1/4 inches, and on this one we have a reading of 13 1/4 inches. That's a difference of 1 inch. The lower number is actually the higher yardstick. We don't really care what these numbers are. What we're interested in is the difference between them. Now I'll put a 2-inch block under this yardstick. Again, wait a minute for the water to settle out. Okay, now we have a reading of 11 3/4 on this one and 13 3/4 on this one. Again, a differential of 2 inches. That's all there is to it.
As we were clearing the railway area, we found several materials we thought we could use. This is concrete rubble. It was part of an old potting shed that was here. We broke it up and decided we'd keep it for fill. And over here, these lovely rocks are native rocks. Most of them we dug up, found them with our shovel tips. I think they'll look real nice against the track in other areas where they're exposed. Now what we did over here was we took a potting bench that had been in the backyard, mounted a vise and the rail bender on it, and this will make a nice remote workbench for us as we work on the railway. Our first step is to find the rough measurements of the part of the yard where the railway is to be built. We not only want the overall dimensions of the railway's area, but also the size and position of the adjacent patio and the distance to the neighbor's garage. If we had any other permanent features to work around, such as large trees or rocks, we would want to determine their size and position too. We find that we will be working in an area roughly 12 by 18 feet.
Now I've taken the dimensions from the rough sketch that we did of the yard and transferred them to a scale drawing on a piece of graph paper. Here's the patio, Neighbor's garage is over here. The fence is down here. And we don't have any big obstructions like rocks or trees on our site to worry about. If you do, you need to plot them on your map as well. I've used a scale of 2 squares equal 1 foot. If you're designing a much larger railway, you can either use a smaller scale or you can tape several pieces of graph paper together. As you can see, I've gridded this off in 3-foot squares. When we take our levels with the water level, we'll note the different elevations at each of these points. To do our site survey, the first thing we need to do is grid off the area where the railway is going to be. I've pounded stakes in on opposite borders of the railway, 3 feet apart. I've taken a piece of my nice yellow string as long as the long axis of the space where the garden railway is going to be built, and I've tied a loop in one end. Now 3 feet from the end of the loop, I tied on a little flag of fabric that I cut off the square that I showed you earlier. And I've done that every 3 feet along the entire length of this line. Now what I'm going to do is loop this end of the string over the first stake at one end of the yard. Then I'll walk down here and tie it on to the first stake. In one place while I move my yardstick down the line to the different marks. We'll call out our measurements and calculate the differential.
For many people, karate becomes a way of life, requiring learning a complex series of moves over a period of years. Instant karate emphasizes traditional techniques, all learned in one session and mastered in a few weeks. The purpose is to build confidence and to avoid confrontation. Use these techniques to build fitness, firmness, balance, and coordination, not to harm any person.
Hi, I'm Debbie Maffett. For the past 6 weeks, I've been following the Bob Mann Instant Karate course. And what has happened? Well, I've experienced some all-over body toning and learned basic karate. Now join Bonnie and me with our instructor, Bob Mann. Come on.
And Debbie got all those benefits, even missing half the rehearsals.
Don't tell
We're going to start off with the warm-up for the front kick. Now, the action here is very simple. We're going to support our weight on the left leg, and the kicking leg will be the right leg. And we start with the kicking leg, the right leg behind, and the action is merely to raise the right leg to stretch out the hamstring muscles, get more limber, get more flexible. And Bonnie and Debbie, let's do 20 of these. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take it, Bonnie.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Eat that leg
12,
up.
13, 14,
And higher,
15,
higher,
16,
higher,
17,
higher.
18, 19, one more 20.
Good set, good set. Okay, let's do 20 with the left leg now, nice and high. And 1, and 2, and Bonnie.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Come on, 14. You can do it. 15, 16, 17. Higher. 18. 2 more. 19. 1 more. Good. Woo.
Good set. We're going to warm up now for the side kick on the right side. And to start this move, we simply cross our right foot back behind our left foot. Our left leg is the support leg. The right leg is the kicking leg. But watch closely now what I do with my right foot. Don't turn it this way. I rotate it clear over on its side. And what this does is it brings the blade of the foot and the heel out to be the striking surface in this kick. Now the action of the warm-up is just like the action of the warm-up of the front kick. It's just straight out to the side, 15 reps. So we start back here and kick, and kick, and kick, and Bonnie and Debbie, let's go for 15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And higher.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, good set.
Okay, Bonnie and Debbie, do these right with me. 15. Let's cross over behind, pronate the foot, get the blade of the foot out, and 15 to the left. And 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8,
9. You can do it. 10, 11, 12. Come on. 13. 2 more. 14. 1 more. Way to go. Woo. Way to go, Bob.
The action of the front kick itself is a 4-part move. It comes up to the knee, out to the target, back to the knee, and down. Up to the knee, out, back, and down. Up to the knee, all the way up to the knee, out, back to the knee, and down. Up, out, back, down. Okay, Bonnie, count us 20 of these. Ready, and...
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
The action on the front kick is to bring the kicking foot all the way up to the knee, straight out to the target, back to the knee, and down. Well, here we are in my living room. And if this tape really sells, the next time around I'm going to have furniture. But right now I'm happy to have the space because we're going to really reach out and put some energy and some extension into the front kick with the left side. So Bonnie and Debbie, let's do 20. Front kicks, left side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, come on, 14, 15, 5 more, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Now we're going to do the side kick. The side kick is really powerful. A lot of nice extension, a lot of power, and a lot of reach. Watch Bonnie and Debbie as they do this kick, and you'll notice that even a small body weight, they get a lot of power into this kick. Now the action of the side kick is we start with the kicking leg behind the support leg. We bring the kicking leg up to the knee, out, back to the knee, and down. Up, out, back, and down. Bonnie and Debbie, let's do 15 of these. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
come on,
12, 13, 14,
all right,
15.
Way to go.
The side kick is a nice level kick. It comes all the way up to the knee, straight out to the target, back to the knee and down, just like the front kick.
Okay, 15 side kicks to the left. Let's all get in position, Bonnie and Debbie, the kicking foot over behind the support leg, and let's go for it. 15. Count them out, Debbie, will you?
Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, come on, 4, you can do it. 5, 6, toe down. 7, 8, 9, 10, come on, 11, 4 more, 12, 13, 14, 15.
One of my hobbies is riding my 12-speed bicycle in the woods. It's called mountain bike riding. No motors, just get out there and pedal with big fat knobby tires on my bicycle. And I have a friend who makes these mountain bikes, and he has a version that he calls the little people's bike. And it's for women and it's for small men. And this next weapon we're going to show you is the little person's weapon. Because even if you only weigh 100 pounds, you can generate just tremendous power with your knee. So this is a close quarter attack, and the action here is very simple. We're going to bring the opponent down from the shoulders and the knee up. And yes, you can guess what the target area is. So the action here is hands bringing the opponent's shoulders down and knee up. So Debbie and Bonnie, let's do 15 of these. Show them real good power here. And let's go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6, 7, 8, harder, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, one more, 15.
Very good, very good.
Knee thrusts gain much of their power by snapping our body down as we snap our knee up.
Okay, Debbie's going to lead us through a set here of 15 high-energy knee kicks with the left leg.
Ready, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, come on, 7, and 8, and 9, you can do it, 10, 11, 12, 13, 2 more, 14, and 15. Good set.
Eating healthy. Slashing your food costs and controlling your weight just got easier. A lot easier. Spa Plate serves as your personal coach to put healthy eating on cruise control. Spa Plate makes portion control automatic for healthy, best food. Plate is I'm
going to show you with the front kick, the side kick, and the knee kick. We've shown you some good attacks. Now we're going to show you how to protect yourself. A block in karate terminology is a parry, P-A-R-R-Y. But no matter what you call it, it's designed to keep you from getting hurt, to protect you. And the first parry that we're going to demonstrate today is called the upward parry. And this move protects the entire upward half of your body. Now the action here is relatively simple if we just did it with one arm. But when we block with one arm, we prepare to counterattack or strike with the other arm. So can you walk and chew bubble gum at the same time? Can you do this sort of an act? Oh, I can do it this way. Well, in any case, this is a two-arm movement. And the action here, I'll demonstrate it in slow motion. The action here is that the blocking arm, in this case the right arm, is going to pass in front of the striking arm. And we simply bring the blocking arm up to the chin while we're bringing the striking arm back to the waist. And as soon as we have the blocking arm up to the chin, we quickly turn it over, snap, and protect our entire face and head. So again, the action, we bring the arms in, the blocking arm on the outside, we bring it up to the chin and snap it up above the head. And parry, and parry, and parry, and Bonnie 15.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right.
Notice how